Hold up. I gotta fix this real quick.
Yeah, hurry up.
Well, that was exotic. Anywho,
I'm
hello.
as white as paper. You cannot say exotic and me in the same sentence and be factual.
I'm exotic. What you talking about? I wasn't talking
That's true,
about
you are.
you. I'm just kidding. Hello, nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of Wrestle Watch, your weekly not weekly, your WWE PLE squad here on the BC Wrestle Pod Network. I am El Jefe, also known as Mikey, and joining me this evening is my longest friend in any medium, the Kilt Man. Kilt is in the building, the Pleat Father, if you will.
Greetings, salutations. I'm really, really tired. Can we make this quick? I literally took a nap. And then you sent me a text message at 7:50, like an hour and 15 minutes ago, saying, "Hey, we're gonna be calling an hour." Oh, good. I can sleep for another 45 minutes. Just literally rolled right back over.
I'm gonna be so for real. Hey, you know what? I did it this past Saturday. I was just like, I can rock a solo review. I don't like to because I like talking to other people, but on the same wavelength, like I don't foresee us being for long for this one. To be completely honest with you,
I could probably speed run the shit out of this because on this poster there are 1, 2, 3.
Many of the people on these posters were not
people that were not there. Hell, damn near the whole entire front row, with the exception of Jay, freaking
Jay and Punk and Seth.
Jay, Punk, Seth, and Cena. Those were the only people on this card that were here that were on this card.
Right, and so like. Couldn't already tell. Kilt and I are going to be reviewing Clash in Paris, which was yesterday morning/afternoon. Morning for me, afternoon for the Kilt Man. We will get into our thoughts in a little bit here, but to kind of speed run through, the beginning parts of our show. If you like what you see here, regardless of how you found yourself, whether it was a friend, the algorithm, or you saw these two sexy nerds be like, hey, they're talking about wrestling, and I want to know what more about that.
Or you're like our buddy Dania here in chat. Yep. We're sitting next to me at NXT one day, and we were talking about it.
We are only 96 more people away from 500, and then according to the mythical internet rule, once you get to 500 subscribers, things tend to get a little bit crazier and starts to move faster, allegedly, but who knows? But that is why we do what we do here at BC Wrestle Pod. We talk about wrestling on the YouTube, the Twitch, and the Kick, whatever your preferred video watching or streaming platform is. But we also understand that watching full-length reviews may not be in your time set. But if you want to still continue to contribute to our little community, you can interact with us at BC WrestlePod all over pretty much every social media site where you can talk to us about wrestling, what's going on. I mean, we do the report cards on the social medias. We let you know when we're about to go live. We have, our edited reviews of these lives, like edited down for, a much more consumable piece. We do a lot of stuff. It is fun here, but we also have some merchandise for you. So if you would like to support us that way by not only buying from us with our merch, but you also get something cool to wear around the world, around your house at wrestling events to spread the word. We have a whole bunch of stuff. We got we have collections for all of our Pride collection, our anti-fascism collection, and of course, for one more day only, the Hot Boy Summer collection is still available, but do not wait long because tomorrow we must retire the Hot Boy Summer because now it's Fat Boy Fall, ladies and gentlemen.
I was gonna say, is it Fat Boy Fall or Plump Spice Autumn?
Yes. So link in the chat and BC WrestlePod shop.fourthwall.com. Now, without the pleasantries out the way, let's get into why we're here tonight, which is Clash in Paris. I don't know about you, Kilt. I watched a lot of wrestling this weekend too, but I made sure to rewatch Clash in Paris today to make sure my feelings have either changed or stayed the same. I'm going to be completely honest. For me personally, this was a PLE it was a tale of two different halves of the show. The first half me kind of felt like it dragged and it wasn't as fun, or it was like, oh, and then the second half, the last three matches was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere, and we're going to talk about all that stuff. But yeah, for me, this was a tale of two reviews, or a tale of, two different types of pay-per-views. The first half was very weird, and then the second half was probably my favorite, but I have questions about a lot of things. And then because Raw was from Paris, so it already aired. I watched it since, it's Labor Day. I also have more questions about what's going on. But, Kilt, I want to get you, what are your initial thoughts, with Clash in Paris?
Boring. This was kind of cool. All right, he beat Logan Paul's ass. I didn't even watch it because I was asleep by then.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're gonna get into all of these things. So let's just go straight into it. So Clash in Paris kicks things off with our first match, which is a singles match. This sees Roman Reigns taking on a big Bronson Reed, who is, the provocateur and the possessioner of the Shua Fala, which has been the funniest thing to see in this whole entire thing. Oh my goodness, this match went on forever. That is my biggest problem with this match. I was like, we could have been done in like 15, 20 minutes.
It was almost 45 minutes. It was at least 35 because I literally was watching it, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, this is still going? Okay, cool. And I was texting their group chat. I'm like, hey, can this hurry the fuck up? Someone must, okay, Roman wins, gets the Shula Fala back, starts signing the shoes to chuck him out in the audience. And then Braun Breaker just comes in before he can finish throwing them and to spear him through the announcer table. And I'm like, dude, you could have waited like 30 seconds for him to chuck the last two shoes.
Okay. Let's back it up a little bit, because there were the sequential order of things was honestly this whole thing from match plus what happened afterwards. We could have condensed into like 20 minutes. This match went on for far too long. Now, what I will say though is that I think now that we're seeing Roman on this part-time schedule now, I do appreciate that Bronson Reed did look like a credible threat in this match. As long as this match was, I'm excited, and hopefully they continue to push Bronson, whatever, the end goal of the vision is for him and Braun Breaker. But yeah, this can be summed up as Roman wins this match. He chokes out Paul Heyman, which was a lot of fun. She gets Shua Fala back, all that stuff. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed beat him down for like 20 more minutes. I was like, you guys, this, like, I know it's 11. I know it's the morning for me watching right now, but like, we need to keep this going. Like, I don't want to waste more time. This was hella long for no reason. And I know that we have to write Roman off because he's about to go film Street Fighter with the rest of everybody. But at the same time, I'm just like, WWE, you could have taken like 10 minutes out of this and spread them out through some other matches that we had in the, the morning, the evening, whatever.
So I mentioned this in our group chat. I think someone got hurt backstage or was late getting there, and they had to make up time, because that's the only reason you drag out a match that long and then a post-match bit that long. Like, dude, after a while, it's like, oh, I'm just going to walk over here and wow. Dude, just come on. Let's go. Let's wrap it. Let's go home. This is boring. This does not set the tone for the evening. It literally checked me out so hard. I barely watched the next match. But then again, also the next match wasn't that great either.
Well, I feel like the next match suffered from a different problem, which we'll get into in a little bit. But to kind of summarize everything, our final thoughts on Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. The match itself was really fun. This is, Superman punch to Roman Reigns versus Big Boy Bronson. Really fun. The match itself was a lot of fun. However, we did not need those 20 minutes of writing Roman off television. This was crazy. I'm like, y'all, this is clocking in at like 45 minutes already. I was like, this is crazy. So let's get into our second match that occurred at Clash in Paris, which was made officially on the Go Home SmackDown this like a couple days ago for this. And this was for the WWE Tag Team Championships. This is the Wyatt Six, of course, being represented by Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy, taking on the challengers in Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins of the Street Profits. First and foremost, listen, we have been very vocal about these ads and sponsorships and all this. I was like, I'm looking at you, War Raiders. This is how we do the cosplay entrances correct. Those Borderland costumes for Montez and Angelo was fire. I love that.
The masks were perfect. I want them. I want one. That was so cool.
I was like, France, you killed it. Paris, you killed it. I loved it. So, and again, and it's even, before the match even started, the Paris crowd, singing along to the Wyatt Six entrance. I was just like, this is amazing. And then we got to the match. So again, the match itself, I did not have an issue with. Here is where I had an issue with it, because, the whole running thing with the Wyatt Six going, since SummerSlam is now they're testing, the bonds between, the different tag teams on the SmackDown brand, which is really cool. And I think it's really fun. And in fact, it wasn't Uncle Howdy, but it was Bo Dallas just walking around talking to different tag teams on SmackDown this past week. And I was like, oh my God, this might be fun. And we kind of just see a little bit of some friction between Angelo and, Montez, because Montez was going to start the match off. And then Angelo's like, no, bro, I got this. I'm going to start this. And, Montez is like, oh, really now? Okay. But then it kind of just devolves into like what I would call a SmackDown match, because the numbers game was too much for the Street Profits, because ref distraction, and then we got, Sister Abigail, we got Nick, aka Nikki Cross, Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy is out here. We have Eric Rowan. I'm just like, the numbers game was too much for the boys. And unfortunately, they would not be able to reclaim the WWE Tag Team Championships. So your winners and still WWE Tag Team Champs, the Wyatt Six. Kilt, how did you feel about the match and everything that transpired for the Profits and the Wyatt Six?
All right, Nikki Cross coming out from under the ring to catch. Oh my God, I forgot his name again. But you know what? You know the spot I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
That led to Uncle Howdy doing the Sister Abigail
on Montez. I think it was on Montez. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was on Montez. I couldn't remember if it was on Montez or if it was on Angelo, yeah.
It was Montez, because I think that's what kept Montez out of commission for Angelo to get pinned.
Yeah, no, because
that was before that. My bad.
No. That's what won the match, because they got him up and pushed him into the ring.
Oh, that's right. Okay. This guy, you
figure. But it was, again, I had already checked out because of how boring that in between was. Like, I checked in when I saw the Borderlands costumes. Excuse me. Well, thank you. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. And then it just it was like, okay, we're just meat slapping each other. All right, I'll be right back. I'm hungry. I'm out of Dino Nuggies. And it's just, oh my God. I forgot I have I have Mike Rome's Discord server up right now, because he also streams on Twitch.
That's amazing.
And there's a meme that I have to share to the entire group that is hysterical. I'm sharing it. It popped up, and I just looked up, and I happened to see it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna kill me.
That's how interesting this match was. We're talking about memes.
First off, it's a great meme. It's a picture of Sami Zayn and Triple H standing together with their faces swapped. I died laughing. I've been sitting on that for like a couple days. No, actually yesterday. Never mind. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, this suffered from the tone being set so poorly with the in-between for the first match. As I said, there had to have been something to drag out the timing so long that I lost interest. Not saying that I can't pay attention for more than 20 minutes, but it needs to be interesting. And it doesn't need to be the same shit. Two big burly guys just slapping their meat against someone else. Phrasing. Anyway, although the Van Gogh aesthetic that they have for Clash of Paris, I actually absolutely loved. I love the set. I love the entrance with the Eiffel Tower. That was so cool. I echo you a little bit, because the international crowds are always some of the best chants, especially the English footballers. Yep. Now, granted, we are in Paris, and the French footballers are a little bit different. But, I was hearing, from what I could remember hearing, I heard them go, 1, 2, switch into French, like for the 3. I'm like, hey, wait. I know some French.
We paid attention, kind of. So here's the thing for me. Again, the in-ring and stuff like that was cool, and I actually dug it. I thought it was a really solid match. However, because of what we got, which was the 45-minute opener of everything, plus I think that also, to me, this felt less of SmackDown TV Tag Team Championship match, if that makes any sense. And again, I don't think it's fair, because the last time we saw these titles defended were in that 6-pack, TLC match at SummerSlam, which was baller. But at the same time, it's just, we got to figure out where we're going with SmackDown and Raw, which we're going to talk, me and Kilt are going to talk about that at the end of the show, because I watched Raw today and I still got questions moving forward. But the Wyatt Six retained their tag team championships here. And then we slide on into our next match. And okay, so this is going to be a rough one to talk about, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary folks of the internet. However, I am going to add my 2 cents into it, because some of y'all on the internet need to really chill. So Next up, we get our women's intercontinental championship match. Becky Lynch, the reigning champ, defending her title against Nikki Bella, who is, back in wrestling, into the WWE after, being away for some time. So here's the thing. This match was not the greatest. I'm not going to lie. It was a little sloppy from both women. Nikki missing that tornado kick was really bad. I was like, there was a miscue. There was like timing was not working out. Becky was a little sloppy too when it came to certain spots as well. However, I do not think this was as bad as everybody else on the internet was making it out to be. And this is where I'm going to say, I need y'all to chill. Y'all listen, I am not the biggest fan of Miss Bella here, nor have I ever been. I don't think she's part of the Divas era where it was less about women's wrestling and more about, the aesthetics. However, I'm not going to knock her because she had some really killer spots here. She tried to use Becky's disarm her against her, which was really fun to watch. Nikki Bella's not my cup of tea. I know there's a lot there. She has a big fandom, which you know what I'm all here for. However, I don't think she was as bad. And this match was not the worst thing that I have ever seen this year in 2025. And I need y'all to calm down. But it still was not a fun match to watch. Becky would end up using the most devastating move in all professional wrestling history, the surprise roll-up to pin Nikki Bella, and Becky retains her women's intercontinental champion. Kilt, I'm going to give you the floor to talk about this match, and if you want to add your 2 cents in on the internet's reaction to this match, and you have the floor.
Nikki Bella's super rusty. Becky Lynch is breaking some rust off. She's starting to polish up some, but it was slow paced. It was boring. I was like literally slogging through these. As I said, I've shut down and went to sleep after the Cena match. Like, that's how bad it's a Raw. This could have been a regular show match because this was not a PLE worthy match. Neither of these people are in the shape, from what I can tell, to be wrestling right now. I think either Becky might have a small injury somewhere, or Nikki she's just that rusty, or it's, as you said, it's a product of her generation of wrestling, which was diva wrestling, which was let me look pretty and not wrestle. I don't know what it is. I think they both need a lot of time getting better, being back in the ring. And honestly, we talked about the whole Becky Hogan thing a while back, and how we were saying it really wasn't a Becky Hogan. It wasn't Becky trying to be Hulk Hogan. It feels like creative might be leaning into to be presented as a Becky Hogan for other reasons. This is just tidbits of what I saw from Raw, and I'm like, I'm not liking. Honestly, this is the one time where I really disagree with our rating. I think at most this was a C+, not a B-. It was, I don't know how else to say it besides a lot of people had rust. There was probably more planned that they had a scrap for whatever reason that is unclear to me. I honestly don't know what was going on. Like, the whole thing just felt dead, and it definitely wasn't like we've seen dead shows where the crowd's dead, and that's what kind of made the matches less interesting. But this was the matches themselves. The crowd was amazing. It was a fantastic crowd. It's just like I'm sitting here looking at this like, why am I paying attention? Oh wait, I know, I'm waiting for the John Cena match because I want to watch him beat the shit out of Logan Paul, because fuck Logan Paul, Mr. 25 matches in 4 years.
Right. So you're not the only person who kind of reached out to me to talk about why did I give this a B+ after everything. So here's the thing, right? I think from a strictly WWE only pay-per-view, I will say so far this is probably my least favorite WWE show pay-per-view this year in 2025, just being at the bottom where my other 2 least favorite was night 1 of SummerSlam and night 1 of Mania this year. But I will say though, despite everything, despite it, the first half, like we talked about at the beginning, not being very good, this show is nowhere near as bad as what is on my list of being my least favorite / worst pay-per-view of everything that I've watched this year. TNA is still holding that L because Emergence was so bad. It was so bad, but that's because I watched everything. But I will agree that this is so far is probably my least favorite WWE pay-per-view this year. Now, granted, we're going to see how the remainder of this year goes for WWE because we literally have a whole pay-per-view a month leading into the end of the year. We got one for September, one for October, one for November, and then John Cena's final match at Saturday night's main event in December, which we'll get into in a little bit. I will say, though, the other thing that kind of made me not like this show too is the fact that it didn't even need to be for the championship, but you couldn't have had a second women's match on this card, to be completely honest. I was just like, of the 6 matches we had, as much as I love the SmackDown Tag Team division, we could have had that on SmackDown and put another women's match on this card. But I digress. So again, Becky retains her Women's Intercontinental Championship, and we move on. So now we're getting into the second half of the show, where I definitely think the second half did carry the rest of for the remainder of the time. So we get into probably, my God, these two beat the piss out of each other, and this was awesome. This was easily my favorite match of the entire night for Clash in Paris. And again, Rusev, this is his first PLE coming back, to the Fed. Sheamus is amazing as always. I love you, my pasty ginger. You are amazing. And I loves you and your workout series because it's fun watching you interact with other stars. But yeah, this was... Now, we like to throw the word around brutal and physicality a lot when it comes to like hard-hitting matches across any promotion. But damn, these boys had welts and, broken blood vessels and just, this was so much fun. This was just pure carnage. We had spots through tables, spots through crates, spots through barrels, Donnybrooks, kendo sticks. Like, this match ruled. Ultimately, Rusev would use a broken Donnybrook to lock in Sheamus into the game over, which is his finisher. And Sheamus would tap, which would give Rusev the win. Kilt, what did you think of our good old-fashioned Donnybrook match between Sheamus and Rusev?
It needed more beer. There needed to be a lot more alcohol involved in this match. I was great, I won't lie, but definitely needed more in the match. I was expecting something to come out of the barrels.
I don't disagree, but this is WWE and they trying to keep it PG, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, fuck that. I'm not a good person about keeping things PG. No, this was actually probably the saving grace for the PLE because it was really, I don't know how really it was just really fucking entertaining.
And you know what? That sometimes that's all a PLE match really has to be. It just needs to be entertaining enough. And again, I made sure to watch this show twice because I wanted to make sure that my thoughts were relatively the same. Because initially, I gave this was my favorite match of the night on first watch through because I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely giving me more of what I wanted. And then upon the second one, it's like, no, I still feel the same because that first half was really not great. It was not strong. And then from here on out, the rest of the show actually did feel pretty good. So yeah, but this was my favorite match of the whole entire night. Rusev and Sheamus, y'all did the damn thing. So then we get into our semi-main event, and this for me personally was actually my second favorite match of the entire night. I know a lot of people were complaining of both of these guys just spamming all the finishers and this match going on forever, but I just want to point out that y'all do the same thing because a certain other company has some of their wrestlers do that where we're spamming finishers all the damn time and y'all bitch and complain about that. But when it's WWE, y'all think it's the greatest thing on the planet. So I need y'all to stop being flipper flappers and, just accept it. But we get John Cena versus Logan Paul. Again, detest Logan Paul as a person. John Cena with these promos last 2 weeks have been fire. Love you, John Cena, when you bury people on the mic. It is so fun, and Logan Paul deserves it. But again, I will keep saying this. I cannot, despite my personal hatred for Logan Paul and just him being a shitty human being, his athleticism and his ability to pick up the business quickly is a skill that many people need to have. And you know what? This match was great from both sides. Cena killed it. Logan was great. And this was entertaining in the sense it felt like I was watching a 2K game play out on my screen live because thrown out of the ring, people going to the ropes, like finishers galore. We had a Styles Clash, we had punches, we had FUs. Like, I did not mind, and I liked all the spam finishers because it was entertaining, and that's what this match was. I was entertained by these two. And yeah, John Cena turning it around, because the whole heel Cena was cool, but everybody, again, because everybody wanted Cena heel, Cena turned heel, and then everyone realized, like, oh shit, maybe I don't like it. I was just like, nah, it's just that y'all don't know what you want. I was here for heel Cena, but babyface Cena is where it's on and popping right now. But John Cena does, yeah. Cena picks up a victory over Logan Paul. What did you think?
Sorry, I was going to go on to the heel Cena part. I like the heel Cena, but they underused it. Didn't use anything extra. Everything fell through.
They didn't go far enough.
And the problem was, they brought in Travis Scott. Why they bring in Travis Scott? We now know that he was supposed to do a lot more, but he flaked. Like, that could have saved a whole bit. Could have just been Dwayne and John, and it would have been fine. And then it would have been a whole lot better. And then, of course, Dwayne just disappears because I'm the final boss. I'll do whatever the hell I want. But anywho, I'm glad he made up with the kid. That part was really cool. I thought that was nice. Although I was very happy to see Green Shirt guy down center, right there. He's got his passport. That's cool. I wonder if they invited him or if he's like, "Hey, can I go?" But yeah, this was actually really good. I loved the call out to AJ Styles, because he said in the interview at one point, it's like, I'm not going to be able to wrestle everybody. And having an opportunity to do an AJ Styles kind of call out was great. This match was. I was half expecting R-Truth to come out at one point. I was half expecting, because, my brain farted. Jelly Roll and Post Malone. Yeah, we're down there in front behind the commentary. I was half expecting Logan to walk over to Jelly and start fucking with them, and then things going from there. But yeah, this was really good. This was another saving grace for this PLE.
No, 100%. I think Cena and Logan Paul, and then Rusev and is definitely were the two highlight matches of this card for me, which leads us into our final matchup, which ended up being our main event, which was a fatal four-way for the World Heavyweight Championship. The visionary Seth Rollins would be defending the championship against challengers. Main event, Jey Uso, LA Knight, yeah, and the best in the world, CM Punk. I was also very entertained with this match, because watching LA Knight jump from the ring to try to hit Seth, but then only meet a table in the process, was a crazy bump. Jay getting thrown through tables galore in this match, which was a lot of fun. So LA Knight and Jey Uso would ultimately be, taken out of the equation, which ultimately left Punk and Seth Rollins in the ring going back at it one-on-one. We get a steel chair involved. It looks like CM Punk is going to finally get the best of Seth Rollins and win that World Heavyweight Championship. But a masked figure walks into the ring and low blows CM Punk, which would, cause Punk to lose momentum. And we get the unmasking of, after the curb stomp and everything. Well, in the middle of this too, because but we learned that the masked person was Becky Lynch. Seth Rollins hits curb stomp on Punk into the steel chair, pins him, your winner, and still your World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freaking Rollins. The Visionary still has the championship, and I'm just like, I kind of figured he would, but I was highly entertained. And at this point last night, I was just like, oh, Becky in the Vision. I'm intrigued, but I need to see how this is going to go. But we'll talk about that in a little bit, because Monday Night Raw was earlier today, and I watched it, and I will give my thoughts about, what I saw in tandem with, Clash in Paris. But Kill, what did you think of our main event and Becky being the newest member of the...
He punching me in the CM Punk. Circa 2025. He keeps hitting the dick twice this year so far. What?
That's rude, y'all. That's rude.
It's really rude. Like, I want AJ Lee to come back and just have fun. Maybe it'll knock some more rust off of Becky Lynch if she does. Anywho, as I said, I slept through this match. Literally, I didn't completely shut my computer down. I closed Peacock. I walked over to my bed, which is right over there. I laid down and I went to sleep. Literally, I woke up at like 6:30 local. I was seeing, your text. I'm like, oh, because I knew I was going to lose this one for sure. Whenever I have more than two choices, like A or B, I know I'm going to lose, no matter what. Because they're not going to push LA Knight. I knew that for a fact. Or it's going to be CM Punk, or they're going to keep it on Seth. And it's like, I have to roll a die. I'm going to be 33% wrong, or actually 66% wrong. I know it. Absolutely know it. And so I woke up. Okay, cool. I'm going to go play video games now. Like, that's how much energy this PLE drained from me. I couldn't even watch the main event.
Again, I think Clash in Paris, again, the crowd was the best part of this whole show, as well as, you know, the Donnybrook match and then the Logan Cena match. Those were the two highlights. And the crowd was, this was a decent main event. I actually enjoyed this one. But again, this card felt like an afterthought, and I don't want people coming in here. Like, again, the biggest thing is I had is just like, people are like, oh, we have to wait to see what's going to happen with the women's world championship since Naomi vacated it due to her being pregnant. And I'm just sitting here. It's just like, you could have had like a number one contendership match. You could have just had an exhibition match, because to have Stephanie Vaquer not to be on this card, and people are like, oh, she probably can't travel. She was on Monday Night Raw Go Home. She is in the country. She can travel around the world.
Like, she can travel more than Logan Paul can. Let's be honest here. I agree. There should have been something. That's why I think they extended for time during the first match.
We could have had an interview. We could have had a pre-tape instead of waiting till tonight.
They could have had so many things instead of the 45-minute long let's beat up Roman Reigns.
Right. So, I mean, I guess now is as good as time to kind of go into Monday Night Raw. So that takes care of Clash in Paris. So earlier today on Monday Night Raw was okay. I'm tired of AJ not winning. Grande Americano Latte costing AJ costing him the Intercontinental Championship against Dominic on Raw was annoying. Judgment Day Girls lost to the Kabuki Warriors, which makes sense. But here is why I'm excited for the match. But again, we couldn't have done this sooner. But on Raw, we had a pre-tape segment with Adam Pearce announcing that at WrestlePalooza, yes, that is the next pay-per-view name, which is still kind of silly to me, but it is what it is because it's a WCW ECW thing, but I digress. We will be getting the winner of the Evolution Battle Royale, Stephanie Vaquer, taking on Io Sky, and one of them will become the new women's world champion, because Io didn't get a rematch against Naomi because of that pregnancy announcement. And then Stephanie won the number one contendership, and so she still needs to get her shot at the championship. So at WrestlePalooza on Saturday, September 20th, it will be Io versus Stephanie Vaquer to see who becomes the champion. And all I have to say is, I love Io to death. I truly do. I'm really rooting for Stephanie to win the championship here. I was like, but it also makes me worried because we're seeing what's happening with her other international bestie, Julia, on SmackDown as the Women's United States champion, and we haven't seen her do anything since taking the title from Zelina. I'm a little worried to see if they're going to push Stephanie and let her, have matches, or they're going to give her this most recent Io Sky title reign where Io only defended that championship 3 times since winning it, which was crazy to me. Other than that, the rest of Raw was very uneventful. We had Penta and the War Raiders beating Grayson Waller and the New Day. Dragon Lee also just continues to lose. CM Punk and Becky Lynch had a promo off against each other, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I'm also saying if AJ Lee doesn't come back, it is what it is.
Becky slapped the shit at CM Punk.
Yes, and I was like, yes.
And then motorboated him. I'm like, was that necessary?
I was like, all right, that's crazy, y'all. But at the same time, I was just like, a very uneventful Raw as always. It was okay. There was some fun parts. I'm excited for Stephanie and Io at WrestlePalooza. But again, I was just like, it is what it is. We'll talk offline because that's the same day as AEW's All Out Toronto. And I'm just like, I'm tired of you putting these companies' pay-per-views against each other. I don't want to watch 7 hours of wrestling in one day. I like you to space it out.
I don't want to watch 7 hours of wrestling in one day. And that's usually my Sundays because I'm trying to catch up because I forget and I get busy. But no, I have to agree. It's like, why am I watching 7 hours of so much wrestling? Like, look, I understand you want to make your bottom dollar, but still. Come on. Yeah. Okay. We discussed this a while back, having a Raw PLE, a SmackDown PLE, an NXT PLE, and then just spacing it out so that way there's different PLEs throughout the year. So it's not like you're throwing things out at a wall and hoping it sticks in 2 weeks like they did with freaking Will.
I don't know if it's... Oh, there we go. Oh, no. There we go.
And I think we're back.
The wrestling gods did not like your opinion.
Well, too bad. The wrestling gods can suck my butt.
Okay, that's between you and them. Anyways, so yeah, I'm just like, so the remainder of the year for WWE, again, it's very funny how at the beginning of the year it's like, oh yeah, we don't want to do a pay-per-view every month. Bitch, we've been getting a pay-per-view almost every single month since like WrestleMania, and it's getting on my nerves. I was like, are we gonna watch it? Yes, because we cover these bitches in our product. But at the same time, I was just like, I want quality over quantity. I know I make fun of AEW too, even though I cover the show. It's like, y'all have a pay-per-view a month, but at least we get like 4 months out the year with AEW. Their pay-per-view cycles doesn't start until March, so we get January, February, and all of March to set up the whole year and everything. WWE just keeps giving us like shows to mediocre pay-per-views that is just like, it's annoying. I was just like, that's why I love NXT, because as crazy as NXT is with how many things they throw at the wall to stick, I am entertained and I love everything going on. Everybody's got something to do in NXT. So I'm just like, I have my issues with NXT booking sometimes, but NXT is honestly where it's at for me. Like Raw and SmackDown, I was like, it's not good, but it's not terrible either. It's just mid. And I feel like that's the worst thing ever, is just to be mediocre. Anyways, well, that's going to be it for us here at Wrestle Watch, because the internet gods don't like my internet, or they don't like Kilt's internet. It's one of the two. So we are going to get up on out of here. But before we do, let's take a look at what the remainder of the week looks like for us here at BC WrestlePod. So we are now finished with our Clash in Paris review. So we are moving on with the rest of this week. This Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, we have our AEW review, where we are in our Philadelphia residency for AEW Dynamite and Collision. So we're going to be reviewing all this past week's AEW stuff, as we are now post Forbidden Door, and now we are going into All Out Toronto. Then on a Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, we will first start the evening off with our NXT review. We will be covering this upcoming episode of NXT now that we are post Heatwave, and we are going into our next PLE for NXT, which is No Mercy. Then at 8 p.m. Pacific, we will be here to cover CMLL as we talk about the Grand Prix that happened this past Friday. It was a 2-hour match. It was wild. It was a lot of fun. Can't wait to dissect it and, talk about it. Then on Friday, the 5th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, the TNA crew will be here to review another episode of TNA as we are getting ready for Victory Road. It's, all that good stuff. Then we wrap up the week this Sunday with our WWE review, talking about Raw from Paris, France, and SmackDown being in Florida. So we're back in the States for SmackDown. So should be interesting. Yes, Kilt, I don't think you are quite dead, but you're dead-ish. Who knows? Your internet just doesn't like you right now. That's okay, buddy. We'll talk afterwards. But that's going to be it for us here. So as always, from all of us here at BC WrestlePod, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will see you tomorrow for our AEW review. But until then, and until next time, peace.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.